There was a tweet. Majin Obama said, been saying this for a while now, and it is tight to see so many players, commentators, creatives seeing the light in the past couple of years. But we need more content. One of the keys to the FGC's path to power lies through support for community content. I think he's absolutely right. I think our content is whack. Then I replied with, it's true. Content aside from a few dedicated sources is not where it needs to be. Our streams/YouTube content outside tournaments is a problem. And he said that he thinks our content, including tournaments, is a problem, which I know what he means. The thing about this tweet and content in fighting games in general, and I've talked about this on my YouTube before. Wait, what did Hanzo tweet? Like, here's the thing about fighting game content. Fighting game content outside of tournament streams on Twitch is very weak. The magic number for Twitch streams generally tends to be between 500 to 1,000 viewers for streamers. You want streamers on your platform and your channel to have 500 to 1,000 viewers, to have nice sub counts, right? To have content that they're engaging with their community often, right? Like to have stuff that's very successful. In fighting games, our home streams are usually very bad. They're not that interesting. They're all the same, and there's nothing unique about them to keep people like coming back to them day after day, right? There's not like people aren't going to do the extra mile to make it interesting, or they're not building enough of a brand or like what separates them to make people come back and check it out. People aren't pushing other people's content or content that they care about, right? Like, you know, they're only doing so much in streaming to do that. Most fighting game streams are the exact same, right? Most fighting game streams, you look at it, you just open it up. It's a ranked match stream. They're playing online, right? They have their camera in the corner and they're just chilling. And what's the incentive? Are they like a super top tier player? Maybe the stream is interesting because they're just that talented of a player. There are some players like that are just that good. Are they very educational when they stream? Are they like automatic where they're like they're incredibly smart so they can explain to you the game, they can teach you stuff, right? That's what separates him. That's why automatic's viewership is higher. Or like Brian F. Brian F's the same way, right? He's good at teaching people about like explaining what he's doing while also playing a very high level game. Is he just someone who's like an extremely talented player but boring to watch? That can happen a lot, right? Smug's channel is so entertaining, right? Because he's grinding ranked just like everybody else, but he has the nice like duffed or didn't like no respect or like the rage quit. He has the count on his screen and he's like super entertaining. So even though he is an excellent player, right? Like, it's not a boring stream. Summit said it best. To be successful at streaming, you need a combination of three things, right? Which is skill, entertainment, community interaction. And if you can do all of those things well, or at least a couple of those things well, most people are willing to watch your stream if there's something that separates you, right? Streaming is just part of content. I don't just mean streaming. When it comes to fighting games, our viewership when there's a tournament on is so high, right? What was it? It was like 60K for final round Street Fighter, 70K, whatever it was. If you look at Street Fighter right now, there is 700 viewers on the channel, on the platform. Why is it that during a tournament there's 60K and you can't even hit 1,000 on the platform right now, right? And that's not to say our tournament streams are perfect. I think we could change the way we do pool play, and we can change the way we have interstitial content on the streams to be better, right? But that's the thing is, you know, the viewership should be much higher during non-tournament streams, but it's almost never that way. And that's something where the streamers and the content creators need to pull in the viewers to get people to come through and watch their home streams. There's something that's making it so that these home streams are not as interesting. I turned on the mic and I started talking about fighting game patching and fighting game content. I have 600 viewers right now. We've been streaming for like 45 minutes. Why is it that there's 600 of you in here listening to me talk instead of watching some grandmaster or warlord level player playing instead? That's fighting game content that, you know, should be good in theory, right? It's the hair. That's what it is. It's the hair. All fighting game streamers just need to have my hair. Someone says my name pulls people in. Well, there's a lot of work to make it so that my name pulls people in, you know? Yeah, Vesper Arcade does manage to pull in more viewers than most pros. That's true. And it's because Vesper's done so much content. He's put so many hours into creating a really nice brand, and he has a really entertaining, kind of fun, relaxing stream. So he said, essentially, we need more content, and it's one of the key FGC paths to growing. Hanzo tweeted, less content catered to new players and more catered to intermediate and expert players. And I think both of those are interesting points. My content is catered towards all kinds of players. The most successful content creators are people who target the mid-level and intermediate, because that's like the new and intermediate, because those are the biggest groups of people. The thing about the FGC is like people who watch my stream right now, you guys, there's a mix. There's some players in here who are excellent, amazing players, mid-level players, newer level players, right? It's a mix of all three. So my content tends to be a mix of all three. Sometimes I do very basic explanations on things. Earlier, I was explaining the very basics of how patching works. Very basics. And somebody in my chat was like, why are you explaining the basics of how patching works? And it's because some people don't know. Some people don't play other games or stuff like that, or they maybe don't follow other games or communities or whatever, so they don't understand how it works. But sometimes in my chat, I say things, and it's for intermediate or high-level players, and new level players don't understand it. So then they have to ask me what's happening, and then I'll explain it and answer. So you have to try to do a bit of both. I think you have to try to cover content that's for all of that. Like match analysis, I would say, can be enjoyed by all levels of play, right? That's what's nice about the way I do match analysis. Sometimes there's match analysis or analysis that's only useful for the highest level of players or really high level players who can understand it. Sometimes the breakdown of a match is just too simple, and maybe you can't draw anything from it if you're like a mid-level or high-level player. It's stuff that you already know. So that's why match analysis is good for that, right? It tends to hit all three of those groups of people. So people come through and they watch it, and it's nice. But the thing about our content is that besides very specific people, there's not that many people grinding it day in and day out and producing quality content that is what fighting games need. All right, so Hanzo has a new tweet chain. Is this what we're reading? There's a weird fetishization of how hard fighting games are to learn and how important it is to hold people's hands to get them to learn the games that ignores the fact that many other bigger genres are also very hard to pick up and understand. Okay. Maybe the more important factor is the individual themselves and their willingness to learn rather than a lack of effort on the community's part. Why are people who lament the dumbing down of an aspect of fighting games very accepting of dumbing down content? Assist Me is a very high-quality tutorial series that brought in millions of new eyeballs to the FGC, so that being geared towards teaching new players is very appropriate and beneficial. Does not have a reach. So what would you attempt to teach me why a projectile is good? The thing is about this, and reading this and thinking about beginner content, the thing about fighting games is that people say that fighting games are really hard all the time. Fighting games are hard, but so are many other things. Learning any skill is very hard. I've talked about that on my chat. In my content before. Learning any game is hard. It's not just fighting games. The most important thing to help new players and intermediate players and high-level players is to teach them how to learn. And also, when you do tutorials, explain it in a way that makes sense. Tutorial content on my channel has always done extremely well. But match analysis and more in-depth pieces on my channel have also had a lot of success. So I think that there's obviously a desire for both. And if you say only, well, people don't like my tech or they don't like, this that I post and stuff like that, I think you need to focus on teaching people the stuff that matters and the stuff that they're interested in learning. There's different people out there, and you have to understand that one video is not for all of them, and another kind of video is not for all of them. It's like different. You have to make different things for different levels of player. And that at this point, there is more of a desire for that kind of content than there ever has been before. And tomorrow, there'll be even more of a desire for that kind of content because there'll be 10 new fighting game players tomorrow, or 100, or however many there are, right? When a new fighting game comes out, people always want that stuff. It's why I made Eunice videos about me learning the game, and they have like 20,000 views on YouTube in like a week and a half because the game is new in a lot of people's eyes. They've never seen it before. They have no idea what it is. Brand new. It's like the game came out yesterday. And they're like, what the fuck? I've never seen this game in my life. So I started from the beginning and just showed them, very simple, how to learn a game. And to them, that's the kind of content they want. And now, that kind of content is the gateway to go checking out more tutorial style content for Eunice, right? Just the way it works. And yeah, Ricky, I think you brought up an interesting point. What Hanzo was mentioning in that is you should teach people who want to learn, not try to provide a magic bullet for people who are interested in going through the tough parts of learning. Yeah, I think that's hard for people to understand for sure. You don't have to be the one that convinces someone that learning fighting games is for them. You just have to be the someone who, when people want to learn fighting games, can turn to and teach them something. And in our community, the amount of like quality content that's geared towards that audience is not nearly as big as other games, or it needs to be. Anyway, the point is, I agree with Obama. Our content could be much better, and there could be much, much more of it. And that's not a dig at our current content creators necessarily. It's just saying that we could always use more of it. And there could always be better versions of what we have now. Right? That's why when you type in, hold up, Virgil sword loops on YouTube, there's a 26,000 views on Sajam's UMVC 3 Virgil sword loop tutorial. And then his next one has another 12,000 views on UMVC Virgil sword loop tutorials. You know how I learned sword loops in Marvel 3? I watched a video of a Japanese player doing them, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I've never seen this. So I watched the guy do the combo piece by piece, because there was no tutorial out at the time on how to use it. So I watched a video piece by piece of this guy doing the combo, learned how to do the combo, filmed the video that took 10 minutes to do, 10 minutes to film this. I did sword loops like 3 times, with the inputs on. Then I cut that up into little pieces and I uploaded it on YouTube. It took 10 minutes. All right. It's not like it needs to be complicated, and the content doesn't need to take you like literally this video is literally just me doing sword loops with the inputs on. You know how long this 50-second video took? It took 5 minutes. I just did the sword loops like a few times. Anyway, point about it is that you want to do content on YouTube, it's very easy to make content that's really useful for people with not that much effort. Tekken is an interesting one in that, right? In that, you know what's fascinating about Tekken? They say like, oh yeah, Tekken has bad tutorials, it has bad this, it has bad that. The nice thing that Tekken does have for it is that all of the stuff that worked forever ago still works, right? If you look up Korean backdashing and you want to learn how to Korean backdash, the most viewed, best video is 6 years old. Tekken Tag 2 Korean backdash tutorial from Eris, 130,000 views. It's 5 minutes long. I guarantee him it did not take him very long to film this video. The nice thing about Tekken is that it hasn't changed. This tutorial on how to Korean backdash still works. So even though Tekken has like awful tutorials and you have to rely almost solely on user created content, well, I say awful tutorials, non-existent tutorials. Even though it only has to rely on like user created content, like they're lucky in the sense that a lot of it still works. Like sidestepping, how to sidestep, blocking a low and launch punishing. Right? Is there any types of content that you think the FGC has lack of? Yeah, all kinds. Hold on, I need to grab a blanket. I'm cold. All kinds. Why is there not like more excellent adventure style content? It was proven that that's a formula that works. They did it for like 8 years or something crazy. You guys say because Capcom screwed over Mike Ross. Okay, why is there not a Guilty Gear 1 that's really popping and pushed and promoted a lot? Why is there not Tekken? Why is Bogus Journeys not back? Why is I don't know, any of these not back? Yeah, you just need the right people to sit down with decent equipment, decent or funny players, and just sit down and create those episodes, right? The excellent dev ventures. Right. Why there's no like premium style VOD content that goes up, VOD content that goes up on YouTube of people doing that, right? You know what I'm saying? Why aren't you doing a Sajam and Tasty Steve show? You mean the recipe? We did do that show. I don't know, maybe when the next, fighting game comes out in April 23rd, the show will come back. Why is there not more Assist Me style content, right? Funny, skit-related FGC. In general, there's actually not that much funny, skit-related FGC content. There's actually not very many vlogs from tournament players. They travel 40 weekends a year. Why the hell are they not filming any vlogs? Justin started to do it now. Justin's doing great content, actually. What's stopping them from having a camera? Using your cell phone. You don't need anything fancy. You just need a cell phone. Vlogs, yeah. Honeybee is great too. Honeybee had a lot of subs recently, right? Awesome for Honeybee. He's killing it. IRL streams, there's a market for that. I was talking about this. All right, fighting game content. Let's just do a speed round. Fighting game content that needs to be filmed. That would be very easy to do. I shouldn't say very easy, but it's easy enough to justify the work it takes. Right, here we go. Excellent adventure style content for whatever your favorite game is, right? You need is cameras, a couple of mics, nice and simple. That's all you need. You don't need anything crazy. Very achievable. Vlogs at tournaments, right? For players that travel 30, 40 weekends a year, even if you don't travel that much, doing a vlog at a tournament, pull out a camera, talk in your hotel room, walk around and ask people questions, easy. If you guys follow the Smash scene, Sydney is interested in the Smash scene. She just walks around with a camera and does interviews with people. Like super easy questions. Like, I don't know, she just walks up to someone and you guys know 2GG. She's like, what does the GG and 2GG stand for? And she asks a member of 2GG and they're like, and they don't even know. It's hilarious. Super easy content to do. So in-venue content, streams on Twitch that are not just grinding ranked. More interesting streams than that, right? Any kind of built interstitial content that's better than that. And on that note, interstitial content for streams at majors. And what I mean by that is interviews during downtimes, interesting commercials, desk segments, walking around the venue and showing people what's happening. Any kind of content on stuff like the skits that Summit does, those are awesome. People love those, right? They're worth the time you put into them because they're great. People just think they're super funny. More players doing match analysis on their streams, watching back their matches from tournaments. Tournaments and tournament VODs are the most popular thing fighting games have for viewership. So why not take advantage of that and restream or rewatch matches from tournaments with your character or other people's characters and talk about the matches? Why doesn't somebody walk around with an IRL camera at every event? They could just be the person who does it. Every event be the IRL off-stream match person. This could be a commentator very easily. Any commentator, a Street Fighter commentator who doesn't get CPT or they're bummed out because they're not on commentary currently, they could whip out their phone, IRL stream, and watch the off-stream matches. Sako versus Justin Wong. You could be the person who's like, all right, Sako versus Justin Wong. What's the score? All right, 1-0 Sako. Here we are. We're into the match. And you just start talking about it. All you need is the data. And you just need to do the IRL stream and promote it and be the person who's doing like the IRL streaming at events. Easy peasy, right? It's a very easy, low effort thing to do. You don't even have to commentate. Just doing it over the shoulder. Japanese players stream like that all the time because there's so many off-stream matches that happen, or recording putting a capture device on there and having the matches, or recording it and then later putting it on YouTube with commentary or whatever, right? Interview style content. Born Free has been doing it, but there's other people that could do the interviews and stuff like that as well, right? For maybe other games or scenes that he's less comfortable covering or events that he doesn't attend, you know? What is this? Straight up turns tutorials into music videos? I think I've seen this before. This shit is gangster. Enter the Hell Zone? All right. Maybe I'll get struck for this, but we'll put it on. Jesus Christ. Look at this. He's teaching combos. Hold up. He's teaching you how the combo works in a music video. Oh man, these are cool combos. Yeah, this is gangster. You're right. Absolutely not enough views on this. There's 12,000 views on Coin Jam TV. How hard is it to hit the goddamn subscribe button, huh? This shit is tight. This shit is sick. This is what I mean. FGC doesn't have a lot of non-pro content creators that are really successful, right? You bring up, somebody brought up Purge earlier, right? Day 9 is another example of someone, although not Dota specific, who does excellent content for all levels of play, really. All Day 9 does is be he's the happiest person on the planet talking about whatever he's interested in, and his energy is so infectious that it doesn't matter if you don't give a shit about what he's talking about. He just makes you very happy to be around his personality. That's all he has to do. Yeah, it's why our two biggest streamers are Max and Eris, right? The thing about Max is that Max works 100 times harder than everybody else, and that's why he's so successful. The kind of shit that he does takes so much work. It's like he puts in 1,000 million times more work than like everybody else. It's crazy how much work his videos take, and streaming and everything else that he does. It's crazy. Anyway, check out this video, Coin Jam TV. Right? There's plenty of different, so people were asking about content ideas earlier. In 2 minutes, we named like 7 different or 8 different things that people could do. Podcasts are another example of something that lots of people love, and fighting games don't have that many good podcasts, right? That's why No Frills came out, and people like it so much. No Frills popped up, and everybody was like, this is all we ever needed in life, right? They beat me to it, those motherfuckers. A podcast for many of these people would be so easy. Could you imagine if Steve had a podcast? You know how easy, like, people would just show up every week. If Steve just turned on the mic and was like, what's good? It's your boy, Tasty Steve. You know how he always points and shit? Talking about this new trailer. This shit was crazy. So let me tell you guys about the time I bought my first comic. Everybody would listen to that. Everybody loves Tasty Steve. They would just fucking be like, yeah, this is gangster as fuck. They'd listen to the podcast. All he has to do is turn on the mic and sit there and be like, all right, this is it. Here's my podcast. Could you imagine a Tasty Steve podcast that's just the beads? He has the beads on and he starts from the top and goes all the way down. He's like, here's where I got every one of my beads. This bead I actually got recently. I traded an old bead that I got for a bead from the Philippines. This is like real stories and shit. Steve asks people to get him beads when they go international and stuff, and he trades them to other people. You think I'm kidding? It's real. Like, there's serious lore on these beads. Those podcasts only work because they're well known. Why do you think they're well known? Because they have a skill set that people like. They worked really hard to build up their brand and their familiarity so people knew who they were, and then they got on there. Do you know who Core Gaming is? Core Gaming is not an FGC commentator or like, you know, he's not someone who's on camera all the time. In fact, you might have watched his videos and never even seen what he looks like. He only shows it in certain videos. Core Gaming is popular not because he was popular. Core Gaming is popular and has lots of views because his content is way, way better than everybody else's. And look at Hi-Fi. How many followers does Hi-Fi have on Twitter? Hi-Fi just hit 30K actually. He's at 30,090 or 900 followers. He's not someone you know or someone you're unfamiliar with. This dude Hi-Fi just started tweeting highlights from fighting games. And then people were like, oh, he's the highlight guy. No one was doing it before him. Just like Ace King Offsuit. He started making schedules for events so that, because he was probably like, why the fuck don't these events just have schedules? When I wake up in the morning, I go to his Twitter to see what happened that I missed. That's how it works, right? The reason No Frills works is not just because Yipes and Matrix are entertaining. It's also because very clearly someone was like, you guys are super entertaining. I have a studio. I'll help you guys like work on this podcast. I'll do all like the dirty work. You guys sit down and talk into the mic about whatever the fuck you want. Someone built them an environment to do the podcast from. All that extra work and shit that people had to put in to make that podcast happen. Like whoever did that was like someone, we don't know who that is, but that person is now working on that podcast and they have something that they have that's FGC content related that could have been you if you're a podcast person, right? So when you say something like, well, the No Frills podcast has a lot of success because those guys are popular, you have to also think like, well, it's also a success because of the people you don't know and I don't know who are doing the production and putting that together and running the social account, uploading it on YouTube, editing it together. Yes, and when you start making content, it's going to be trash. I'm telling you right now, I was awful at content creation when I first started. It took a long time. So I understand what it's like. When you first start making content, it's not going to be perfect, but you should make it because eventually you'll get to make some shit that you really like. Summit cracks me up too because Summit as a content production, like, they're so smart. They were just like, okay, we have all these fucking guys, all these commentators that we're like homies with and shit that are around. We got a couch. We have permission to restream this Dota tournament happening in fucking Bangladesh. And there's no English stream. So why don't we just fucking sit on the couch and just fucking talk about it? Like, I'm not even talking just about like the summits that they put on. Beyond the Summit is live all the time with streams from so many Dota tournaments. Then they have the summits in between, and the summits have tons of great skits, super relaxed, super easy. It was like they were like, how can we do the easiest thing ever? And just have the players and the commentators relax, play in like a tournament, I guess, and we'll just shoot some shit in the meantime and make it a good time. Damn, doesn't that sound like a good idea? And then they did it, and it was fucking dope. It was super good. Then MK Summit's coming up, and people are like, well, why are these guys invited, and why is that guy invited, and I don't understand this Summit thing. I have to give money to the person who's going to make it? What do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. And then the Summit happens. It's the coolest shit you've ever seen in the world, and you're like, I want them to do 100. 2 seasons, a movie. I need them to have their own podcast. Like fucking everybody in the Dragon Ball Summit was like, these Summit people, first of all, I'm not sure if they're credible. I haven't seen any of their other work. But you know, when you think about it, why do I have to give them money for my favorite player to be there? It doesn't make any sense. Why can't they just fly out everybody, give a $150,000 pop bonus, and just film some cool shit that I want to see? I don't understand it. Then the event happens. It's the coolest shit ever. And you're like, damn, that was really good. They should do that again. And then Summit's like, yeah, we fucking know. What do you think is going to happen? All the summits are tight. The Mortal Kombat one, everybody was like, Mortal Kombat at the summit. I don't know. Blah, blah. It's going to happen. It's going to be sick as fuck. And everybody's going to be like, damn, Summit's gangster. Mortal Kombat is tight. I didn't know these players were so funny. X or Y player is really cool. It's the same shit every time Summit does something new.